me and Charleston White got into this like heated argument. I don't know if you know what Charleston is. It's a guy from Dallas, outspoken guy, controversial and so forth. And we talked about this whole tirade he went on because Jackie Chan, who's worth $400 million, announced that he's not going to be leaving that money for his son as an inheritance, right? Because his son is, from what I understand, a fuck up, hasn't really done anything, and he just doesn't feel like leaving that amount of money to someone that doesn't know how to handle that.
They're gonna kill themselves,
right? And then he's gonna OD. And Charleston was like, no, fuck that. If he gonna fuck up that money, that's his to fuck up. And he goes He goes to this whole story about how his dad, who he never really knew, left him $20,000. And he took that $20,000, he went to college with it, he turned his life around. He said that his whole life changed for that $20,000.
Man, the inheritance that my father left me, I honor him for that. I regret not reaching out to him so he can know his grandchildren. He made it right, man, in the end. You see what I'm saying? He made it right. I resented him.
Yeah.
Passed him up one day, saw him passed him up. Didn't even stop. But when he died, and I realized, and he didn't intend to leave me that money. He had no intention on leaving me that money. He had about $18,000, $20,000 in the bank. Because I'm his only child, I got that money. Now he got a legacy. Man, my father left me something. He might not have done nothing for me in my lifetime, but in the end, he made it right. I was able to go get my bitch out of jail. Now she can come back and get to the baby. I started going to college. I enrolled myself into community college because I was able to take some pressure off me with that inheritance he left me, homie. Then I went on and enrolled as a pre-law student at Texas Wesleyan University because he left me something and it took some pressure off of me. So I speak from a cultural perspective when I say that, and a personal experience.
I said that's all good and well, but 20,000 is not 400 million. This is a vastly different amount of money. And I mentioned the book that we both love, The Richest Man in Babylon, right?
Oh my goodness!
Remember when the king
he sent his son out and tried.
Sent his son out.
Him. He gave him a trial, gave him a lesson.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about. Because you have to learn. I went from being dead broke, of course, to having a first job out of college where I made like $70,000 a year. I fucked all that money off. Started my own company, started making hundreds of thousands. Fucked that money off again, went broke. And then took me 10 years to rebuild. And then, the lessons of going broke and messing up so much money was so ingrained in my mind that at the point that I got to now having hundreds of thousands to touch, then going to millions of dollars to touch, I had to learn how to build up to that. If you give someone who's never seen $1 million $1 million, what's damn near every human being going to do? Let's go buy a Ferrari. Or I'm going to buy a big house. I'm going to splurge
with no driver's license.
Yeah, I'm going to splurge it on. I'm going to go hit the mall up. That money could be gone in one day, very very easily.
Well, the way I look at it, and I felt the same way that he felt at one time. Like, damn, you ain't gonna leave all that money to your kids. And then after I read The Richest Man in Babylon and I started to think about it, it's like, well, here I am, I'm your dad. I got all these connections. If you haven't taken any of that information that I have and been able to take yourself and make something of yourself with all of that, I think one of the first people that I heard was Warren Buffett. I don't think Warren Buffett's going to leave his kids any money.
What he did, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I actually read his book, and I've seen a lot of interviews and so forth. This is what he did. When the kids were full grown, he gave each of them the equivalent of $1 million in Berkshire Hathaway stock. It was a good amount of money, but not enough money that you just completely go off the rails and mess up the rest of your life. And people treated it differently, right? Because he had a few kids. One of the kids, I think, was a music composer. He did a lot of stuff for MTV. He put that money into his business, and he built his musical business. Other people, one of his other kids kind of went into farming or whatever else. One of the other kids, I think like the daughter kind of chipped away at the money over the course of her lifetime and, never really made a lot, but was able to use it. But his billions of dollars, that's all being given away to charity. He's not giving it to his kids.
Right.
And to be honest, none of his kids, I don't think any of his kids even became rich. I think they all just kind of were middle class. You know what I mean? Because $1 million won't last you your whole life.
Yeah, but they still, they got the name.
They got the name.
I mean, when you Browthaway Hurt, you walk into the bank and you say, hey, I'm Browthaway Hurt, the president is going to treat you different.
Right.
So if I feel that if somebody is not wise enough to capitalize off of that, then they're not wise enough to be worth $400 million.
I agree. I personally think that he needs to give that money to like a hospital, maybe a university, or just an organization that has a strong track record of, doing good with that money. Like for example, during the George Floyd thing, we donated $10,000 to the NAACP. And a lot of people are like, oh, why did you give it to them? And I was like, NAACP has decades of doing the right thing. Decades. And shout out to Bun B, who's the head of he's now one of the heads of the Houston chapter of the NAACP. Me and him had a long conversation about how like, yeah, maybe the young people don't, think that that's their fathers and grandfathers.
Really, that's really what money is for, to do good, to take it out and help other people, I just can't wait till I get my project finished so I can start to really like show people what they're supposed to be doing with money, because I don't believe that most of our rich people don't know what to do with money. They think it's supposed to be put on the wall and keep the stats. I look at it totally different. I think that it's something to be creating jobs, to help people have places to stay, feeding people. And if you're not doing that with your money, then to me, you're just fucking it up anyway.